Good night, and welcome to another episode of the Northway Basketball Podcast featuring your host, Kayon Mayers. I'm the head scout at the Northway, where we help coaches find the best Canadian basketball players with real pro potential. Um, on today's episode, we have a lot to cover. It's been a great week of Canadian basketball. The draft just passed. We had another two Canadians, get one got drafted, one got signed, and kind of spoke to that. So I'm going to touch base on that. I think Will Riley's in the perfect situation with Washington. He got drafted into a situation where they're in a rebuild, but they also have great vets in CJ McCollum, Chris Middleton, and he's a prolific scorer who's going to have a great career learning from guys like that. Great career playing alongside a guy like Trey Johnson, the Texas guard. So Will Riley could play the three, and that could be, two cornerstones for Washington's future. And don't be surprised if you see Will have a great rookie season, make an all-rookie team, and in the future become one of their corner pieces. So big congrats to Will Riley, 6'8", 6'9" forward who can score at three levels. Serious workhorse when it comes to the game. Locked in on the game of basketball, loves the game of basketball, extremely focused, and he's going to have a great NBA career. I see him having all-star potential, and definitely being one of the premier talents out of Canada in the NBA, eventually playing for Team Canada sooner than later. So I think the Canadian scene is bright as usual. Ryan Nembhard, who I compared to Fred VanVleet, I think he'll have a very similar career to Fred VanVleet. He's going to a situation where he's going to be able to learn from great vets, guys like Kyrie Irving, who are similar to him in the sense that they're both extremely crafty guards. I know he takes a lot from his game. They both play for Coach Kevin Boyle at Montverde, so he's coming from that tree, the Kevin Boyle tree. And I think Ryan Nembhard is going to be in the NBA for a very long time. Same way Fred VanVleet was for the Raptors from Wichita State. He worked his way up, um, got a full-time spot, was killing the G League, won a G League championship, was on the roster full-time. Now he won a championship with the Raptors, and now he's in position again to win with the Rockets, the highest paid undrafted rookie. And if Ryan does the same things, he's going to be the highest undrafted rookie, or sorry, undrafted prospect ever. So highest paid undrafted prospect. So I think Ryan Nembhard just being, a fly on the wall, in my opinion, knowing and hearing how he is as a person and seeing these things. Um, I think he's going to be in the NBA for a long, long time. Um, for starters, as a rotational piece and eventually as a starter. Because he has the same trajectory as Fred VanVleet. He's a winner. He's way more athletic. He can score the ball. He can distribute the ball. He's literally showed you that he can do everything at the next level. It's unfortunately it's unfortunate that, they're obviously factoring his size and 4 years of college, all those things, but he's done more than enough in my eyes to prove himself as a pro. So big congratulations to Ryan Nembhard, younger brother of Andrew Nembhard, and Will Riley of the Washington Wizards. Um, there's the U19 FIBA World Championship qualifiers going on right now, and just to see the team that Canada's put in is it's a great to witness. We've had great games from a number of guys like Jordan Charles, Afosa, but Jayon Pitt. But to me, the most consistent has been Spencer Ahrens, where he had 13 points in the first game, 16 in the second, and he shot it extremely well. His numbers are off the charts, and I think that's going unnoticed because he's not always leading them in scoring, but he's the most consistent. And I've had him as the number one prospect in the top in the class of 2025 for last year's ranking, and I still have him as the number one, arguably the number one collegiate prospect for the NBA. I think he'll do 2 years max of college basketball and be ready to go to the draft because we've seen him get better in leaps and bounds. He's a great scorer. He has a high IQ, really skilled, great footwork. But the thing is now, he's always played at a slow, methodical, intentional pace, even with his shot, like just getting his shot off, playing under the post, making reads. It's always been at his own pace. But the thing I'm most impressed with now, since he's been at Boise State, you can see him playing for U19, Canada's U19 team. He's improved his mobility, he's improved his athleticism, his shot's gotten faster, he's a better decision maker, and he plays with a little bit more pace. And I think that is going to translate a lot to next year because I know they're trying to run the offense through him at Boise State. So we're going to see if he steps up to the plate. I think in 2 years he will be an NBA player. He reminds me a lot of Ryan Anderson. I think if Ryan Anderson came about in this era, he'd be a $150 million guy. He could score, he could rebound the ball. His game was primarily based on shooting, but similar to Spencer, he shoots the lights out of the ball, but he can also put the ball on the floor. He can play make, he could create, he could drive closeouts. He could play out of the post. He rebounds. His defense is getting there, it's getting better. But I think he has a lot more tools than Ryan Anderson. I think his skill set is similar in the sense that he's a stretch four, but he can play make, he can make moves off the dribble. He's also pushing it in transition now. Like he's pushing the break, making decisions made for himself and others. So you've seen him grow so much in such a short time. I'm interested to see what he would do in 1 and 2 years. Um, so I think Canada has gotten another NBA prospect in Spencer Ahrens, even though I already thought he was. I think he's proving it right now. He's a sleeper because his game doesn't look sexy, right? But he's going to be someone who's a pro because his game is consistent and he's really good at what he does. He's mastered a number of things that translate to the highest level of basketball. Another guy that stood out to me, that probably goes unnoticed. He's not having any, like in the first game, he had 17, 9 for 9 from the line. Second game, believe he had 8. I could be wrong. But the thing that sticks out to me, he reminds me right now a lot of Corey Maggette. He understands how to use his body to get to the line and his athleticism. He is pro athleticism. He has a pro body, and he's shooting the ball well from the free throw line. So I think he could be a future NBA player, depending on what role you have him in and what you need from him. I think it's just a matter of time before his shot starts falling. His mechanics are bad, and I know he puts up the reps. He's on the gun all the time. I think the only what you're seeing here is like, as a former player and just seeing guys who made it that far. I think once he gets a lot of reps in a scrimmage or practice games and he develops confidence that way, that's when you're gonna see his shots really start to fall because he can shoot the ball. He puts in the work. It's just a matter of like getting game reps within a scrimmage where guys are running at you, you're up and down the floor, you're tired, and you get confidence stroking the ball. I think once this shot starts falling, we're gonna have to have a serious conversation about it, Fosa. Um, and where he could potentially be in an NBA draft. Another name that's come up, and I've been talking to people around him, and I'm glad he's starting to turn the corner, is Xavier Blake. Um, my concerns in the past with him were as talented as he is, he used to pick his spots when he wanted to go. But this year there's been a switch, and it's amazing to see. And just talking to the people around him and how his mindset's changed and how he's beginning to mature. Because one thing that I wasn't aware of and speaking to people around him is how young he was. He should really be a class of 2027 guy, given his age. He's 17 years old, but he's going to have a great year at the Phelps School. He's going to really, really grow, and it's going to be a great process to see. And he's getting high major offers now, and he there's some real conversation around like being the next NBA prospect from Canada, the Will Rileys of the world, and we're gonna have some work to do come that new August ranking for the class of 2025 and seeing where Xavier lands. But it's good to see because his brother Sean Blake, extremely talented, hardworking um, kid who has a lot of potential. I thought that if he would have went and did a year in the States, prep school, whatever, it would have benefited him as well. But he's going to have he's going to have a breakout year, I believe, as a sophomore at Vermont. Um, I think there's some sleepers at the D2 level as well. Anderson Cummins, he shot the ball at 40% from beyond the arc this year, averaged 8 points as a freshman at UMVI, UVMI, University of Virginia. I'm sorry if I mess up the name, but Anderson Cummins is a name people should have their written down and monitor. I think he's also going to have a big sophomore season this year. Um, and yeah, man, and you know, I'm glad I finally got to touch base with you guys. There's so much to talk about. We have our middle school top 50 camper. We have a lot of big names coming in who we are very high on. Tyson Darko, who is one of the top point guards in the class of 2020-30, if not the best, probably the best at 6'2", is playing with Rajon Rondo's uh, Adidas team, and he has a bright future on his hands. He can shoot the ball extremely well. He could pass. He plays at his own pace. He can get to the rim and finish below the rim in a variety of ways, and he has a great support system around him. So don't be surprised if these next couple of years you start hearing high major conversations around him, pro conversations around him. Another guy who's come to the camp is Curtis Otero, who's also 6'2", freak athlete, can jump out of the gym, long arms, plays for Locked In, and he's a class of 2030 kid. Another kid we should watch out for is Christian Kabongo Jr., whose father was also an NBA prospect at one point, and he's really serious about the game, and I'm excited to see what he does for this coming season. So that's another episode of the Northway Basketball Podcast. I thank you guys so much for tuning in. Coaches, if you want to get a head start on recruiting, not only recruiting and figuring out who the future of Canadian basketball is, who the best pros are, feel free to book a call with us. Visit our website. We'd love to help you find the best Canadian basketball prospects and um, help your program win more if we can in any way, bringing in high character recruits. So yeah, this is Kayon Mayers. This is your host. This is another episode of the Northway Basketball Podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode.